Hey guys, welcome to the lecture we have here on writing great PHCRs in SOAP format. This is going to be the first of 4 videos, and we're going to have one little video for each of the 4 parts of the SOAP format that we're going to talk about for PHCR writing. And this video deals exclusively with the subjective portion. So without further ado, let's get going. So first off, we're here to learn how to write a solid PHCR, and that should be the goal of every EMT and paramedic. The reason why is a good PHCR can help hospital personnel get a better picture of, the patient's injuries, their illnesses. They don't get to see where the patient came from. They get delivered on a cot, in a nice bundled up package, and they don't get to see where they came from and how certain injuries or illnesses might have manifested themselves. Another reason why is a good PHCR will help you in the long run. A lot of times, due to the way that our legal system works, you might not take the stand for years after a call and be required to testify. Getting subpoenaed is no fun, and if you ever have, you know the feeling. But writing a good PHCR can help you when you're called to testify about the details of a particular call. And the other important thing is a well-written chart can really change the course of treatment for our patients, and that might be hard to believe, but like I said, when we paint a solid picture of where we picked the patient up, how they received their injuries or, got this illness that they are dealing with, that can help the physicians make better overall treatment decisions based off of the charts that we write. So who am I? Well, I'm Steve. Like I said, I'm a firefighter paramedic in Oregon. I'm a paramedic and EMT instructor here as well, and I'm the co-founder of EMTprep.com. We do NREMT test preparation and classroom management software. And more importantly, for the purposes of this video, I am on the chart review committee for the county I work in. And that's really helped me see what a good chart looks like and what a bad chart looks like. And I'm going to give you some of these tips and tricks I've learned through reviewing thousands of charts in these videos. So let's start with the subjective portion. And a lot of times there seems to be some confusion on what subjective really means. Well, think of it this way. It's a person's interpretation of facts. It's the information that could be viewed differently by multiple groups of people who were there. And simply put, it's the stuff that people tell us on scene. And we'll go through this more in depth. And we're also going to look at an example here in a second of what a good subjective chart looks like. So what should we include in our subjective charts? Well, you want to start with what you're dispatched to, state the age of the patient and what their chief complaint is. And then anytime you quote someone, a remark they made or an answer to a question, if you're quoting them word for word, you should put quotation marks around it every single time. That's really important. You also want to include their medical history, medications, allergies, the last meal they ate. That can be important depending on the call. And then you also want to document the events that led up to your interaction with them. So let's look at an example of the subjective portion of a chart. Medic 5 dispatched to a cardiac call. Patient is a 48-year-old male whose chief complaint is chest pain that started 10 minutes prior to EMS arrival. Patient describes the pain as a squeezing pain and that it feels like an elephant is sitting on my chest. Patient states he has no cardiac history and has never experienced any pain like this. Patient states he takes medication for high cholesterol and GERD. Patient states he was sitting in his recliner watching a TV show when the pain started and denies any physical exertion today. Patient denies shortness of breath, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain, problems urinating or having bowel movements. Patient denies any other illnesses or injuries related to today's events. After aspirin and nitroglycerin administration, the patient states he gets full relief of his chest pain. Upon arrival at the hospital, the patient states he has no questions for EMS personnel. So you'll notice there's a lot of patient states. After this, patient states. And it's really important that you can simplify what a patient has said and not put quotation remarks around it. When you're quoting word for word, that's when you want to put the quotation marks. So I want you guys to watch the following video of a patient interaction and then write up just the subjective portion of your chart based on the information presented. We'll go over all this at the end of the 4th video, and at that point we'll hit each portion of the chart. Thanks so much for your time, guys. Any questions, please feel free to email us, info@emtprep.com.
Ma'am, my name's Dan. I'm with the ambulance. What seems to be the problem today?
My chest just feels really tight.
Okay, and it seems like you're having some difficulty breathing, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so her chief complaint is, again, difficulty breathing. So the first thing I'm going to do is move through my ABCs. A, airway. As I listen to her, can I hear air moving through just fine? Do I hear stridor or anything like that?
She is having difficulty breathing.
Okay.
But she is moving good air.
Okay, so she's moving air well enough. So breathing, I would assess a respiratory rate either with a stethoscope or by standing or watching and counting. What is her respiratory rate?
She's breathing at 24 times per minute.
Okay, so along with the breathing, I also want to listen to lung sounds. So can you take a couple of deep breaths for me? All right. Last deep breath. Okay, what are my lung sounds?
You have wheezes in all fields.
All right, based on that, I'm going to go ahead and put my patient on high flow oxygen right now. I'm going to use a non-rebreather and go at 15 liters per minute.
You can verbalize putting the oxygen on the patient.
Okay. So after breathing, we're going to move on to circulation. First, I'll check a pulse. What is my pulse rate?
Pulse is present, and it's at 96 beats per minute.
Okay. Do I note any major bleeding?
No major bleeding.
Okay. And then moving on to skin. Skin color looks pale. Do I note any cyanosis anywhere?
No cyanosis.
Okay. And as I feel it, does she feel warm? Does she feel cold?
Normal temperature.
Okay. And do I notice, is her skin wet? Is she sweating? Anything like that?
No, normal.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a priority patient. We'll try and transport her as quickly as possible. So next I'll move on to my my OPQRST. So ma'am, how long ago did this start?
About an hour ago.
Okay. And what were you doing when this started? What provoked this?
I was just watching TV.
Okay, just watching TV. And can you describe the feeling for me?
Yeah, it just feels really tight in my chest.
Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 being not difficult to breathe, 10 being I can't breathe at all, where would you rate this?
I'd say about an 8.
About an 8. Okay. And again, how long has this been going on for?
For an hour.
Okay. So, and then after I've got my OPQRST done, I'll move on to my sample and try and get a little bit more information. So, do you have any allergies?
Yeah, I'm allergic to penicillin.
So you're allergic to penicillin. Are you on any medications currently?
Albuterol.
Do you take the albuterol? Okay. And past medical history?
I have asthma.
Okay, you have, oh, so that's probably what the albuterol is for. What was the last thing that you took as far as food, last oral intake?
I had breakfast this morning.
Okay. All right, and events leading up to this, what were you doing again that caused this?
I was just watching TV.
Just sitting there watching TV. All right. So next I would move on to my secondary assessment. For this patient, I really want to listen to lung sounds again and reassess that. So I'll listen again. Have my lung sounds changed at all with the oxygen?
No, they're still wheezy.
Okay. Has my patient's ability to breathe, does she feel a little bit better with the oxygen?
She is breathing easier with the oxygen.
So after my secondary assessment, I would obtain a baseline set of vitals. So first I would acquire a pulse rate.
Her pulse is 90 beats per minute.
90 beats per minute. Okay, and what's her respiratory rate now?
Her respiratory rate is 20 breaths per minute.
20 breaths per minute, okay. And lastly, I would get a blood pressure. And what is her blood pressure?
Her blood pressure was 112 over 70.
Okay.